Hey, Paul, check this out.
Jesus. What? Wait, that whole oh my gosh.
What's up, nerds? Welcome back to the channel. We've got some nets to talk about today. Now, I know you can just grab a fish with them hands, but if you guys have ever been like on the line with a PB and you don't want to risk it, maybe you want to use a net.
Or maybe you're somebody who is fishing a spillway, you're fishing a bridge, you're catfishing, you are trophy hunting, muskie. There's a lot of reasons to want to have a net. I have to call out Flippinest Empire is actually the reason that this video exists. We discovered a new product that is completely insane. There are other products similar. I've never seen one of this quality that does what it purports to do this well.
And we'll show you that later. But first, we want to go through some of the best options for fishing nets out there right now. Now, brands don't matter with this. We'll show you the ones that we have and speak to the specific brands and price points that we have purchased them at. There are obviously other options. Mainly, we want to go through like types or categories of nets that you guys could easily find on Amazon or with a quick Google search. So do your own research. Choose your own price, brand, whatever works for you, you know, as long as you're landing more fish, you're taking better care of your fish, and ultimately you're maybe catching a PB. That's what we want you to do. All right, let's get into it. All right, so first off, let's talk about one of the most common nets you're gonna see, and that is a simple short handle floating net. This is used by just about everybody that I've ever seen kayak tournament fishing.
Yeah.
It just sits on the front of the boat. You don't even have to tether it, although a lot of them do come with like an elastic tether and a clip. You can get these on Amazon for 20 bucks. This particular one was a little bit more because it was a line cutters edition. So it's like the bright chartreusey neon green, which is obviously why we picked it. But
You'll see the same net in orange on Amazon or pretty much everywhere else.
yep. So it's bright, so you can find it. If it falls overboard, it floats. So if it falls overboard, it doesn't sink. Not all nets float. That's something you need to know.
And you will pay a premium, we'll see it in a minute, for a floating net.
Yep. And it's easy to keep it out of the way because it has a short handle. So sometimes with those longer handles, unless you get some sort of yak attack attachment where you can like set it off the side of your boat or something like that, it's going to be in the way, right? Or it's going to take up a rod holder in behind the seat. All around, great option, and probably the cheapest net you're going to find for fishing. Use it.
Floatable version of this net. Now there's the aluminum version of this net that you can buy basically anywhere, and it's really, really inexpensive, maybe even cheaper than the $20 range these days. Basically the same one that your grandfather had when he was fishing. Now there's a couple differences. Hand me that back.
Okay.
There's a couple.
Why did you throw this?
There's a couple of big differences between this net and the net that your grandfather used to use. One thing I want to call out, flat bottom. That means you actually have a lot more room in this net. A lot of those old school nets are trimmed down like this and they're triangles. Now that means it's smaller, but with this basket net, you have a lot of room for that fish. You have a lot of room to handle that fish, and it also means a lot less tangles. Also, the material that this net is made of, this is a coated nylon, so it's very strong, but it's also very durable, and it's also easier or a lot more difficult to get treble hooks, or any hooks, inside the actual fibers of the net, which is really nice because then it's just untangling versus like shredding the net to get the hook out of the actual net. These are also, they come in different materials. So trout nets will have like a rubber net and basket, no basket, different hoop sizes and that sort of thing. But the rubber does a really good job of allowing those fish to keep the goo and scum and really important stuff that they need, the slime, on their bodies, because that's actually how they're managing temperature, not getting infections and things like that. So the one thing I will say about a rubber net, it can be exploded out of. Anything that's got the rubber net, that would maybe just be your trout net. It might be something to really consider.
And then this would be better for those more aggressive fish, and especially if you're using treble hook baits. Because generally if you're catching trout, you're using like barbless
really small hooks. Yep.
Small hooks, maybe a nymph, flies, things like that. From a personal experience, I've exploded not one but two rubber nets because I caught a pike.
Yep.
And a pike
just bam, shoots out like that little snot rocket missile. That it is.
Little slime torpedo ripped right through the net. So I like netted it and it just went, nope, bye. I'm out. And it took off.
I think this actually meets, most people's needs, especially if you're a new angler and you're like, I just need something that's gonna last me a long time. Get a basket, get a net with a basket, get the coated nylon for multi-species, consider something for trout. If you're a kayak fisherman exclusively, go with the short handle. If you're gonna use this for all types of fishing, wade fishing, bank fishing, also kayak fishing, consider getting something that has at least a 12-inch handle. You'll be a lot happier.
Point is, that's the cheapest option you're gonna find. You can buy it all sorts of places. So just As long as it floats and it's got that coated net, then I would say go for it. And by the way, I know that this seems like a much smaller net, but this is a 19-inch hoop. And look at the size of this basket. Like, tell me you're not gonna catch a PB in that. All right, so from there, we go from the short handle to the long handle. Another great option. So this here is an Ego S1 Genesis. It is not necessarily the newest at this point. They've got newer, different models coming out all the time. I have a similar one. It's the Cryptek model, so it's like the water camo, so the fish don't see your net coming like it matters.
Look out, bruh.
Watch out. So it doesn't really matter. The point is, it's a fixed handle, so it doesn't extend. So it's set in place at whatever length. You can get a whole bunch of different lengths as options. So you go with the length that fits best for you. And I like to look for a floating net always. So this is a floating version of that. You can find plenty of fixed handled nets that are super duper cheap, but don't float. So
now you can you can zip tie a pool noodle around them and they will float. So there's always the option to modify these nets to make them float, but obviously that's gonna reduce your ability to like handle the net very comfortably, or it could just obviously make the net less usable, because if you have to put this much foam on it, you then now can't put it inside of a rod tube. So that's the nice thing about this net specifically. There's a lot of different ways on a kayak to store this net. You can put it in a rod holder and it's just up and out of your way. That's great, but it also works with the Yak Attack Y-shaped wheelie arms.
the roto grips.
The roto grips, and you can plop them in there. And that's, I think, this is probably for people who are extremely serious kayak tournament anglers. This is probably the net you're gonna see, some version of this, the most often. There are a couple of really strong pros to this. One, you obviously get reach. Compared to that shorter 12-inch net, or 17-inch total net or whatever it is, this is significantly longer, right? So I have a lot of reach. It's durable. It's not free. These are $60 is like one of the cheapest ones. And then depending on the size, the material, the length, the extendability, not extendability, go all the way up to 150. This one's like $80. There are some really cool features with these. You can unscrew this handle. I'm gonna get around to it.
And then you got a short net.
Then I get the other net. From somebody who is like really concerned with maybe losing tournament money, has like pride and money on the line, this might be more of the net for you.
The main difference is this, and I'll tell you from experience. The other day I was out fishing on my lake and happened to catch a really nice fish, about 3.5, 4 pounder. I had this net at the front, right? Not this one. And I do own one of these. So I had this one at the front. I'm working this fish, trying to get back. It's on light line on a drop shot. And I'm just like, oh no. Actually, no, it was on a jerkbait.
Dun, 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 dun.
It's on light line on a jerkbait, and he had like the rear treble. So I'm like, okay, this is a risky, precarious situation.
This is a net fish.
I could not reach this net at the front of that boat. So I'm reaching for this net. I can't get the dang net. And then I finally like have to stand up while also holding this fish, get the net, and then net said fish. So point is, it wasn't an ideal situation. If I had had this with those Yak Attack roto grips, for example, it would have been right next to me. So I can just grab it, snap it out of the roto grip, net said fish, and we're good. That's why you see a lot of guys in tournament fishing do this, especially when they're fishing tournaments where money is on the line. No.
All right, so here's a pretty wild option. One that it's almost like you got to think about it for a second. Oh gosh, Lord. So this is the Yak Attack leverage net. Now, what are we talking about with leverage? So you basically get this cup here that fits right around your forearm, and then you should grab through the middle of the net, which obviously it's extending your range, but not a ton. But with the leverage pulling down on here, your ability to scoop up a huge fish has greatly improved versus having to reach out at the end. Without that leverage from the leverage net, everything's on my wrist. Versus with the leverage net, with that cup right here, you can pull up, you can yoink out any fish, no matter how much grass, no matter how much crud. You can scoop them out of the mud if you needed to.
So the other benefit of the leverage net is that these are collapsible. So if we were talking about space management, for example, this will fit into a rod holder. I'll tell you, like, the worst part about it is because of this right here, there's not a lot of space that's gonna, there's not a lot of depth because of this little forearm rack there that it's gonna go down into. So it's not as secure as, say, this fixed position net right there, but you can fold it down. So instead of it sticking up behind you like that and like all of your lures on a back cast getting caught in it, or every tree catching it, you can fold it down, and now it takes up no room and it's not sticking way up.
Now I want to call out, will you open that up please again really aggressively like you've been doing? Cool. The
shape.
The shape size is really interesting. You know, again, we're getting nerdy here.
Super wide.
You notice that it's basically been scrunched down, so there's a lot of width here. That means you can grab a gigantic fish. And then when you talk about the depth of the net, it's got the same depth as this net right here. So even though this net is a little bit shorter, because of the width of the mouth, you can catch a lot more fish inside of a much more compact net.
And keep in mind, as we do this video, we're talking mostly about bass, bycatching pike, or sometimes we like to target pike. A lot of people just bycatch them. But if you're bass, pike, smallmouth, etc., of just about any size of bass, I mean, and pike, any size other than if we went way up north. Because once you get to the super big fish, they make super big nets. And you got to get one specific to that.
I'm going to talk about that right now. So let's talk about your big species. So we're talking catfish, we're talking pike and muskie.
The giants.
The big stuff, right? Or if you're somebody who fishes off a seawall. So actually at my cottage, I have this net right here. This is made by, I know it's dope. It's made by Ranger. It's extremely heavy duty, aluminum. The octagonal handle is actually really nice because once you lock everything, it is locked up. And then the ability to extend this net up to, mine goes 50 inches out. It's fixed position at 50 inches, but I've got all the length that I need to reach all the way to the bottom of the seawall into some water and grab a huge fish with a big open net and a big open mouth. Now these are a little bit on the expensive side. So for the largest net that they make at the longest length, it is $100. So I think it's not cheap, but it's reasonable for the quality that you're getting.
All right, so let's say that those nets don't fit your fancy.
Or maybe they fit most of what you want, but not everything that you could possibly want.
Most importantly, they aren't Transformers. So enter this net right here that we just got. So this is the Trickster net from Jackson. It's $150 for the base model. And then they actually have a bunch of different accessories, which we've attached all of to this. So we can show you. So we ended up picking this up from the guys over at Finesse Empire. They hooked us up with this to test it out, and we were really stoked about it. We're gonna show you all the features on this one. But most importantly, hang on.
Oh yeah.
I'm gonna walk several feet away.
Well, you saw how long the handle was. It's like a 24-inch handle. To start, just like as Jeff's got it right here. And now it's telescope. Oh my God.
I am out in the hallway.
12 feet long. Now this is the medium. The medium goes 12 feet. Oh Lord.
And then it condenses all the way back down to this. And oh wait, it's actually got this extra joint so you can fold this thing up.
Well, that's one of the accessories. So let's talk about the accessories.
Super light.
Let's talk about accessories and pricing real quick. So this is a very light net. This one has all the accessories on it. It probably weighs a couple of pounds. Now you can take like some of the accessories that you can see here. One is a clip that we've attached here at the top. And then another is this joint right here. So you basically pull this piece down and the net folds over like that, and then it locks into place. So the nice thing about this setup with both of these working together is you can fold this in half. It's a really small package. Then you can clip it to a backpack. Or if you're if you're somebody who's surf fishing, clip it to your cart if you really want to, or you can just shove it in a rod holder.
The base model also comes with a little detachable clip, which I would probably never use, but you could purchase that magnet clip that we showed earlier as well. And again, we've had these in the past. I don't really like using them, so I kind of like the little slip clip there. Or nothing. Or nothing.
Now let's talk pricing real quick. We already told you the net on its own, so no clip, and then no folding neck piece, and then no magnet, is $150. $150 when Finesse Empire told me about it, I was like, I don't know about that.
That is a lot.
Outside of my normal price range. But then I saw there are 3 extension options. There's a long, a medium, and then a short. This is the medium. But look at the quality of this. Look at that handle. Now there's some air here, like some slits here to let air through so that when you're collapsing the net, there's no air pressure building up inside the tube. And then when you're extending it, same thing. It makes this a really easy operation when you're extending. And then you look, this is like a woven handle. This is surprisingly soft. Most of these nylon handles are like really rigid. This is really actually pretty plush.
Very comfortable.
Would you agree?
Oh yeah.
I think it's
kind of rubbery.
Exactly. Like it's not like the nylon is, it has no give.
This is the wind grips, remember? The Mach.
Oh, this is this is equally as nice as that.
So Mach this year came out with something that feels like a tire.
It does, yeah.
This is like better than that. It's a little softer than that.
Really nice though and comfortable. And then obviously there's the clip right there. So you just unscrew these 4 bolts and then this thing pops off. Now there's this foam piece here, and that kind of keeps it stuck so it's not just shooting out on you. But this is what the extension looks like. Get that up close. This is really hard to see. Super high quality, insanely light. And again, it goes up, the medium goes up to 12 feet.
So here's how far it extends. Still going. All right, turn the camera a little bit so it sees me.
It can see you.
Get it?
Yeah.
Oh.
So that's the extent.
I'm way out here. Hi.
That's insane. And there's the end. So Jeff is like I said, 12 feet
It's absurd.
away from me.
It does come with one net head, so that's $150. You got the run and gun magnet. That's this thing. That's $20. Personally, not one I'm going to use, but some people like it. We got the additional net frames. Check this out. So we also have a medium and a large frame. I ended up putting the monster frame on because honestly, like the medium to me is more of a trout frame, like pretty small. The large, you could definitely get away with. I just stuck with the monster. I mean, it just seems like the right one to start with.
Duh.
It more similarly matches the size of all the other nets that we have been using. So that's what we went with for that one.
Yep.
So the net itself, the $150 came with the medium net frame. We ended up picking up 2 additional ones. So the large frame, if you want to buy it separately, is $47.99. And then if you want to buy the monster frame, $52.99. So you could have one net handle and then like a whole bunch of different net heads. So depending on what species you're fishing that day, where you're fishing and all of that, you could swap the net out and it just simply unscrews from the top. So that's pretty nifty. And then we had that clip that we've got, that's $35.99. And then this joint, which I think of all the accessories is the one I would get.
Agreed.
It's $34.99. So
And you'd be fine without it.
You would be fine,
It's really
but
nice without it, but it's pretty sick.
Bruh.
You can get 3 different colors. So they have purple, blue, and gold. So you can get whatever color you want on all of the accessories and the net, which is pretty sick. You get the carbon fiber reinforced handle with that fancy rubber grip. And I would say of all these 3 nets, well, of all the 5 or 6 that we're talking about, this is the one that is probably the most refined. That doesn't mean it's the most heavy duty. I think the Ranger net is the most heavy duty
Probably.
of all of them.
Yeah.
The Ego being the next most heavy duty, and obviously the cheapest landing net being the next one. The Acatac's somewhere in between. It's got some plastic components. It's a little more complex. The folding in half obviously means you're going to be putting some like legit pressure on it. And then if that cup is plastic, if that breaks, the whole net is like a liability for your forearm. So it is, I've never broken it. I've not heard of anyone breaking it. These are all heavy duty.
Yeah.
This one's the most refined though, and definitely has like the highest end materials.
And we're going to be using it all season.
Oh,
and
for
by
sure.
we, I mean Paul, because he's never going to let me have it.
Yeah, 100%.
Rude.
You can get blue, gold, or purple. However, there's 3 different models. So this one is actually the medium. I said it was 12 feet. This is actually the 9 foot. So this is the medium, 9.2 feet. The small goes to 6 feet, 5.9 technically, and then 12.5 for the longest one. So you can go even longer than the one we just showed you all the way down through the hallway there.
So if you go for the shorter one, you can save $10 off of this. It's $140. And if you go for the longer one, then it's maybe $10 more.
Yep.
They actually don't even have it on Flippinest Empire. So if you get the 6 foot or the 9 foot.
Today.
Now.
So let's talk about what this net could be used for. If you're a spillway fisherman, if you're someone who fishes off bridges, if you're somebody who finds themselves traveling long distances or you can't wear waders and you need to have a net to reach out past a tree line, down an embankment, out past a mud flat, this is the net for you because this is going to guarantee that you have the length to go grab that fish and haul it back in with quality, and it's reducing the weight. So if you're a bank fisherman, I believe this has got to be the net for you compared to all the other ones that we've walked through thus far. That being that it's foldable, being that you can have a clip, being that it can be a magnet, this is a great weighting option too because it doesn't weigh very much. Drawback, big drawback, it doesn't float. Because this is really designed, again, for people who are spillway fishermen, if you're fishing embankments, bridges, you know, that sort of thing. It's not, the chances of it falling into the water all on its own are lower. So it's not designed to float, it's designed to extend. So if you need a floating net, that's gonna be a problem. You're gonna wanna tether this if you're using it in a kayak. But I think as a bank angler or as an all-around net, if you're gonna only buy one and can only afford one, this solves like 85% to 90% of all the things that you want, checks all those boxes, and the quality is just completely insane. The freaking carbon handle, get out of here. That's wild.
So place your bets in the comments below. Do we lose this in the water this season? And if we do, who loses it, me or Paul?
It's going to be Jeff, because I don't even know if I can risk
It'll be in your
doing
boat the whole time.
I don't know about
How
that.
am I going to lose it for you?
You're saying you can't lose
I'm
some
going
of
to
my
find
stuff.
a way. I'll find a way. So there you go. There's a whole heck ton of nets that you could potentially check out. Hopefully we checked a box for you. If there's a net in this accoutrement of nets that we have gone through, maybe we helped you out. If we did, maybe smash that like, maybe subscribe to the channel, maybe come back when we use these nets on the water to actually land friggin' fish. The weather's been nasty, but we're going to be fishing very soon. We appreciate you guys for watching the video, and we will catch you on the next one. Okay, bye.
Spin move.